TSN.
Welcome back to St. John, New Brunswick, TSN's continuing coverage of the 1999 Ford World Curling Championships. Like every Canadian team at a curling championship, there are great hopes and expectations, but they faded very quickly for Colleen Jones and the Canadian women. They have been eliminated from the playoffs. But two teams remain alive, sitting at 4 losses. Andrea Schopp, the former world champion, and Switzerland's Lucia Ebnother. They need to win, and they need some help. The teams entering the ice surface area here at Harbor Station for this 9th and final draw of round robin play. And we welcome you back to St. John and the Ford Worlds here at Harbor Station. Started out as a beautiful day, bright and sunny outside, and it's clouded over now. There is more rain in the forecast before clearing on the weekend. So here's what we know, that Sweden, Norway, and the U.S. have clinched at least a playoff berth. Denmark is into a tiebreaker, and they will play Canada. That's the final game for Colleen Jones. Now, Colleen and Canada can play spoiler. If they hand Denmark a loss, and Germany and Switzerland, either of those win, well, they'll have either one tiebreaker or possibly 2 tiebreakers. So that's the scenario heading into this final women's round-robin draw. Lene Bidstrup of Denmark, just outside of Copenhagen, against Canada, and Colleen Jones looking for the big finish here at the Ford Worlds. Sweden, the defending champion, Elisabeth Gustafsson, 3-time world winner, alone in first. Norway, the United States. Denmark sitting in 4th right now and hoping to avoid dropping back to join either Switzerland or Germany. Canada, Finland, Japan, and Scotland. Debbie Knox still looking to win her first here in St. John.
The 1999 Ford World Curling Championships from St. John, New Brunswick are brought to you by the Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, seeing beyond, Labatt, Good Things Brewing, and JVC, technically perfect, perfectly simple. The 1999 Ford World Curling Championships from St. John, New Brunswick are brought to you in part by Nova Scotia, Canada's seacoast.
Here at Harbor Station, and the 5 sheets in play, and here is the complete women's draw, the 9th and final round robin draw. Norway and Finland. Norway, as we say, one of those teams who's guaranteed already a playoff spot. That's Doherty Nordby. Denmark looking to lock up a spot. Canada trying to play spoiler against the Danes. Switzerland trying to stay alive against Sweden, the current leaders. And Sweden, it's important for them too, Linda, because they don't want to drop back and then have a draw of lots to see who finishes first, second, or third. Scotland and Debbie Knox trying to win their first against the U.S. and Patty Lank from Madison, Wisconsin. And Germany, Andrea Schopp looking to stay at 4 losses and put herself into a possible tie-breaking spot. We are on sheet B, that is second from the left, and the ice, to say the least, has been tricky. It's curious, one side against the other. So let's read the ice now. It's brought to you by Star Choice, and here's Linda.
If you're with
us for the morning game, you know that this sheet is lopsided. It will curl dramatically more one way than the other. It curls towards sheet C, 6 feet of curl. You'll have the broom further out, whereas the other direction it's much straighter, and that's what the players have to be careful about. The same with the corner guard, to the straight side 3 feet, 6 feet going to the side. Conceivable curl in that spot. If you play the outside in, it may be about 3 feet, but that could be a tricky spot, an in-between spot on this ice. It's a big game for Denmark. They can determine their fate if they win. And so we're looking at sheet C being over here. That means all the curl goes the one direction to that side, whereas the other side, it's much straighter. It caught the teams a little bit in the morning draw. The teams were taking to go around a center guard on the side of the 12-foot or even further out to get around that guard. They'll have to place the guards carefully and hit the broom in this game to get around them.
As the teams take their final warm-up slides, it's Vic Rauter along with Linda Moore. Ray Turnbull will rejoin us tonight for the final draw of men's play. Jeff Stoughton and his team from the Charleswood and Winnipeg guaranteed first place. They came into this morning's draw, Linda, with 7 straight wins, but then they dropped their first.
It was one of those days, Vic, just a little bit flat, the men this morning, and expected, rattling off 7 straight wins and looking so terrific through the first days, and playing Germany, who had to win.
Canada playing the Red Stones. The Danes, though, have won the coin toss, so they will have the hammer. As Nancy Delahunt gets us going, the Canadian lead.
And this is a very tough game for Team Canada. They are very disappointed in their week. Had such a wonderful week in Charlottetown at the Scott Tournament of Hearts. Played very well. And when we talked to Colleen last night, I was saying it's so many little things that have not worked for them this week. They rubbed guards. They had trouble reading the ice when it got a little bit tricky. Just a combination of things. Denmark, on the other hand, have been a little bit of a surprise. It's not a team we know as well as the usual representatives, and they've played very well.
Her name is Aviaya Petri, but as she says, you can just call her Avi.
And I may do that.
Yes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh. Det er langsomt. Stille og roligt, Line. Hårdt fart. Kommer slet ikke ind. Det var nok stille og roligt. Yep. Ej. Godt, Abby. It's true, yeah. Barely. Half, I guess.
These ice times are brought to you by True Value Hardware. When you move one side to the other with the swing, the weight will change a little bit, and that's the draw weight we're going to emphasize between the hog lines, 14.5 seconds, but with the curl, it's not going to slide as well as when it goes on the straight side. So the other weights will be a little more consistent. The draw weight and even the tap back weight will be a little bit trickier.
Nothing. No, just clean. Okay, Nance. Hey.
So, Vic, you had a morning off. You were saying the weather's changing a little bit on us?
Yeah, it's clouding over, and the forecast is for drizzle and rain tonight.
And that will affect the ice. The frost is what the ice makers are having trouble with. That is the reason that it is a little bit dished towards sea. And that's the problem when the humidity comes in, and they have to really work hard on making the ice colder to counteract that.
Kom nu op, piger. Træk til. Okay, Abby. Yeah. I don't think you're going to hear that intern.
There's going to be, and that it's already started, the second guessing, the analysis, because
Yep, heel it right out.
there is so much pressure on these Canadian teams, and when they don't perform, you wonder why. Is there an easy explanation?
Well, there's not really, Vic. It's one of those things. Colleen has said herself, everybody wants to beat you, first of all, if you're Canada. So you know you can't play just an average game. You must play well every time you step on the ice at a World Championship. The other thing, and this is the one that's very tricky, and from my own play, it's the mental side of the game that is difficult to know about. Why do you come out and why do you say that you're flat, that you're not playing well? but you just don't have the same excitement as you had at the Canadian Championship. And that's something you have to really investigate about yourself as a player. And I know for myself, I learned a lot. When I lost, our team lost a national final, it took that kind of loss for me to look back and say, what was different? What can I do differently to prepare myself mentally for those kinds of games?
And if you have questions or comments about the performance of the Canadian team, maybe Linda can answer them today. tsn.ca/curling. That's our web address.
But you know yourself, Vic, and anybody that plays a sport, some days you feel like you're in the zone, or whatever term you want to use, and some days you go out there and you just feel like you can't do a thing, that the weight's not there. You've felt that, I'm sure.
No, of course.
It happens. And until you have
Every
a chance,
walk of life, of course.
Yeah, until you have a chance to really think about it and try and look back on what might have happened, it's hard to fix it.
Yesterday, though, I'll point a finger and suggest that it was just bad execution. They just didn't make their shots. And in the 9th and 10th end in particular, when they had a chance to win, to keep themselves alive, they didn't come through.
The 10th end is something everybody's looking at. There was a corner guard put up and 7 consecutive misses by the Canadian team. And it's hard to understand. Colleen Jones herself had 2 very difficult shots in that 10th end to try and tie against Germany and maybe still have a chance for the playoffs. So you can't really say a lot about Colleen's shots, but the rest of the team had fairly open shots. And I can't answer why they weren't made, because we've seen Kim and this team make great shots at the Scott Tournament of Hearts.
And this is not the number, 71%, of an all-star MVP at the Scott Tournament of Hearts in Charlottetown, Kim Kelly.
It's not. And the struggle started before yesterday. When the struggle starts and the losing starts, the confidence goes down a little bit, and you see numbers like that from players. And again, it comes back to the mental side of the game. It's just hard to go out and throw with confidence.
Nice weight.
So Canada, without the hammer here in the first, have it spread out. Marlene Kraus, the Danish third from Vidovre, the town and curling club of that name. It's about 10 kilometers outside of Copenhagen.
And Marlene has played in 9 Worlds, including the one that our team played in 1985. So she is the one I know the best from this team. Very nice hit and roll.
Coming to St. John, we got to see some old friends like Jane Arsenault, the New Brunswick Championship team this year. Kathy Floyd was here. Time away from her business of Floyd's Appliances, as we well know. And we got to see Heidi Hanlon, former champion, who paid us a quick visit. We know that she's not feeling well and is recovering from surgery. We wish you a speedy recovery, Heidi, and look forward to seeing you again sometime at the Scott Tournament of Hearts. From the Thistle St. Andrews in St. John.
You have a few of those biographies memorized, Vic. I'm not sure what that says about us when we know those biographies by heart.
Okay, gonna.
It's quite funny you say that, because we were at the Scott in Charlottetown, and Jane Arsenault was there, the lead for Kathy Floyd's team, and she said, "Vic, this is my husband," and I can't remember her husband's name off at the present time. And she says, and I said, "You're the gardener." And he said, "Yes." And I said, "You'd be surprised how many people I know just by their occupation now." They own a landscaping business, Jane and her husband. The other thing which comes into question, I think, for this team
I'll throw it.
in particular is the strategy and not being able to adjust, not being able to change the game plan. They came in with a conservative game plan. They lived by that and they died by that, I'll suggest to you.
I don't think it's wrong to stay with what got you here. The problem was, I believe, and it's what you've said, the few times that they needed the big shot, when things got a little more complicated, the execution just wasn't there. I don't think it was necessarily the strategy. A couple of times after they started to struggle, maybe we questioned a turn or maybe one shot here or there, but it really did come down to the execution of the game plan.
Makes the shot there to squeeze out the Danish stone. Now it's tough to turn, and I'll use that old racing analogy that was expressed to me by Roger Penske, and he applied it to Paul Tracy of Canada, who was very fast, a little reckless. And Penske said he would rather take a fast driver who's ragged because he can get rid of the raggedness. You can never take a slow driver who's cautious and make them go faster. Do you in effect then want somebody that's more aggressive than say a Colleen Jones or teams like that? Because you can't make her change her mind. You can't take her out of her mindset.
I don't agree with that in this case. I think for Colleen, if she's going to look at playing for Rock Rule, which is what we're basically talking about, World Championship rules as opposed to Canadian Championship rules, there has to be a little bit of molding of what she does, but I don't think it has to be that dramatic. I think there can be an adjustment. I am one of those believers that says in Canada we don't have to go to the other rule. That's my opinion. But I think there can be little changes, and it just comes back, Vic, to making the few shots that they have not made this week. They have had some very close games. They have scored some very big ends. But then they've made the mistakes.
Whoa. Whoa.
Final stone for Canada here in this first Denmark. With the hammer and looking for the roll, and they'll leave it back button open.
Yeah, bury a piece, they gotta go to the other turn, but I couldn't nobody wanted to behind the kickoff. Yeah, no, but I was yelling, for the get the roll.
It really has been a remarkable year for Colleen. When you remember, she's the first person ever to win 2 Canadian titles in 1 year, the mixed in January, the women's championship, the Scott Tournament of Hearts in February. It's very difficult to sustain a high performance, and that may be part of the problem. Big shot in a big game for Denmark.
Lena Bidstrup in her 4th appearance at the World Championships, but her first ever as a skip for Denmark. Not a brush yet from Petrie or Slotsager.
Very nice controlled weight on that.
To sit on the edge of the button for the single point here in the first. So Denmark with the early lead. Colleen Jones in Canada will have the hammer in the second when we come back to Harbour Station in St. John.
You know, if you get over there where she gets there. It's good for her.
Now keeping our eye on 2 very important games. This one, Switzerland and Sweden. The Swiss, one of those teams at 4 losses. The other is Germany against Japan. And this the final stone for the Swiss skip. She's lying 1. You see it at the back. 12, and this is a draw for 2, and you wondered why curl this way.
Well, I just said when you see the amount of curl, we usually say draw to the middle, but look at drawing to the middle, looks tough.
Crashes in front, so 2 is only 1. Switzerland with the lead. Now, in the other game that's important, Germany and Japan, they blanked the first. Japan with the hammer playing 2 against Germany. Andrea Schopp at 4-4. Go Canada, go! Go Canada, go! And it's 1-0 Denmark as we go to the second.
This morning, Vic, we were talking to Jonathan Meade after the Canadian men lost their game, and we were talking a little bit about the ice, and it really is my belief as the ice has changed, and we're saying the ice makers have done as much as they can to make the situation the best it can be, but it is dramatically different yesterday and today as far as the amount of curl one direction. I do believe the players are going to have to go into these last few days believing the broom, throwing out to the broom, making sure they have positive rotation, and the skips are going to have to really think about placement of stones and which turn to use for these shots. It's going to be very mentally tiring to play on this ice.
Just for weight. Just for weight. Weight only, Kim.
I know, it is.
Coming though.
Make sure!
Yep. Hard. Whoa.
And that is the
Good.
curling turn.
Nice shot, Nancy.
And curl it does.
This, though, brings up a point about ice conditions and wanting them to be the best for the athletes. Sound like Ray. But by the same token, this is what makes, this helps separate the good, the best from the mediocre. It's all those little elements. Seeing the situation, isn't it, Linda? Realizing there's this tricky spot, using it to your advantage, handling all that.
And it will favor teams with more experience who have been able to play on a variety of surfaces and see where the swing is on ice that's very swingy. That's just an adjustment in weight. That is not a problem with the ice on that one.
And through the back, and so it's setting up here. Canada with the hammer. They have one sitting back edge of the 4, half buried for Nancy Delahunt.
Same, pretty much.
Got more
Watch
room.
it high, make sure
Wait,
it's
more
high,
room.
not deep.
Only for weight.
Just line, we're back to it.
You know, sometimes when we talk, you and Ray talk about the ice, I think that we may give the impression, or some people might believe, well, this ice can't be played on. How do you play on this ice? But it's not that, is it?
Not that at all. Now, there, the broom was about edge of the 8 foot, and they got around a center guard. It's not that you can't make shots. There are places that are very tricky. And as soon as the broom goes down, you just have to throw properly a very clean release out to the broom, and the sweepers have to be on top of it the whole way. And that's a part of curling, as you said. And if you had your choice, you would take this over straight ice any day.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Press up, press.
Suzanne Slutsayer.
What enough? See? Jeg vil kunne godt tænke mig at fejle.
Ja, I må gerne.
This team has been together now for 3 years.
Kom nu! Jamen, jeg er god, piger. Kom nu. Kom nu. Whoa, whoa.
Godt spillet, Sandy.
Very nice.
Right down on top.
Even if you move it to here, straight.
Okay. Same weight as Nancy's.
Where?
Just line.
Got room. Lots of room.
Got lots of weight.
Curl, baby. Curl. Just a little chip.
Little more, little more. That's a good shot.
And she'll spill off. Just catch that stone, the shot stone, and push it to the edge of the 4. So Canada is once again lying shot. But that's, Marianne has struggled the last couple of games.
Yeah, earlier in the week, Marianne actually curled very well. Yeah, it hasn't been one person the whole week for Team Canada. It has been in one game, one person perhaps a little more than another. But you definitely can't point any fingers. It's just been a few little things that have gone wrong.
Ja, altså. Skal gerne kunne komme ud, ikke? Hva? Lidt almindeligt. Ej, normalt. Er det min normalfart?
Nej, du skal bare spille en beherske.
Eller Sanis normale?
Nej, bare en beherske.
Stille og roligt. Stille og roligt.
The team from Denmark just clarifying the weight with their skip.
Ja. Wow. Ja. Ja. Kom nu. Kom nu, Hawk. Kom nu.
Oh, great rush to hold it, and the tap at the back to line 2.
Kom nu, Hawk. Kom nu.
There was one place about halfway down the ice where Lene said, whoa, And then she almost regretted it because you just can't say whoa on this curling turn. You have to stay on it with the brushing, and the brushing will make a huge difference.
Back 8. She's asking for back line.
She's kind of asking for back 8, I think.
Same weight.
Same weight.
Less weight, I think.
A little bit.
No. Weight.
Little less weight.
Yep. Hard. Hard then. Hard. Quick. Hurry. Hard all the way. Hard. Hard. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Wow.
It's okay.
That's a good shot.
Wow, it really
Shot.
hooks in.
Ah.
Here we go. We're heading out closer and closer to the edge of the house now as the pebble breaks down and the swing continues to increase.
Det er meget god. Ej. 1. Forkant. Ja, fint. 1. Nej, den er nede. Den kommer altså med, Lene. Ja, ja. 2. Ja.
Så skal der nok bare lidt mere.
Are we getting to a situation where there's too much curl?
That'll come to both
In
of
that
them.
one spot on these particular sheets of ice, I suppose you could say it was too much curl. In some cases, they will be guarding with the straighter turn because you cannot move far enough out. The further you move out in some places, the more it curls. So you may have to play the opposite turn in some cases. But in some ways, you can make virtually any shot with this. There was times this morning when they could throw peel weight at a rock dead buried and nose hit it.
Hurry! Whoa! Whoa! Yep. Take it way over. Take it way over. Hard all the way. Hard. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Very nice.
To lie 2. In fact, I'll suggest lie 3.
I think so.
Nice one.
Men ikke tage jer. Det synes jeg også.
Skal den så lidt ned i?
Ja, stille og roligt.
Marlene Kraus.
Stille og roligt. Ja, ja. Wow. Ja. Wow.
Now, in contrast, Vic, here is the straighter turn. As you see it come down, it barely creeps away from that center line, and it will actually spill out.
Okay. Okay, det var godt spillet.
Terrific opportunity building for Canada.
Yeah.
Trailing 1-0 as we play here in the second.
Yeah, I'd say yeah. Hard. Hard, guys. Hard for line. Hard line. Hard.
This has got to be tiring for the brushers on ice like this, especially with this turn.
Yeah, especially when the brushing can't hold some of these. This one will break too hard. That means you're on almost every rock in this kind of situation. They're going to be playing this curling turn. Now, it looks like these guards out front are blocking the button, but you can get that to curl and be right on the button. Well,
Good.
one of my better circles.
It was. So maybe about 3 or 4 inches inside the edge of the 12-foot is where Marlene Kraus has put down the, or Sletsayer, who holds the brush for her skip.
And it's already gone.
That's wicked.
They might get it far enough, not quite.
Do you want to come in there again?
I have no freaking idea how to get in there.
We can raise the bump
Will
on the insert.
this over here do it? I saw the guys taking this morning.
No, we have to.
I'll tell you, it's a little stickier out here.
I'm sure.
Like even where I threw over here, I felt it was just a
They're
bit
creeping over
stickier.
to that sheet A side.
23 and a half,
Almost have
kind
one
of.
foot on the bumper.
You can take enough ice here to get in, because if you didn't
They're
hit...
going to play this swingy turn to try and get into the top of the 4-foot area. This raise is actually easier, but you're afraid to play it at this stage in case you open up the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't get in,
And I really don't want to open anything up. Like, we are sitting 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I'm going to make sure you guys have...
to bite the 4.
Yeah, top 4.
so
What
if
should
you're
I
the,
throw it here? Can I throw a 4, 4.5? I mean, considering I don't want to 4, I don't want to be deep at all.
if you're the brushers, if you're Nancy Delahunt or Marianne Way, do you just absolutely brush this out of her hand?
If the weight is close, I don't think you can hurt it.
Yep,
All right, and they're on it.
you got room.
well,
Go,
6 inches outside the 12-foot.
Get it over. Get it over, you guys.
Get it over.
It's no way.
She got way out there, and it just
What should I
died.
have thrown there? How far away was I to a 4?
You threw about almost a... Well, I got an 81 split, which would normally be about a 5, but
Yeah.
you obviously needed
Yeah,
at
can we
least
just leave
3,
that there?
you know.
Now, we talked about the frost as it builds up, and as you move into that very wide shot, you are into a little bit of frost.
Ej, så vil jeg hellere rejse den der. Nej, Lene. Ja, hun skal ikke begynde at rode ved den. Hun kan både ramme lidt på ydersiden, og selvom hun
It
rammer
still
lige på,
might
så
be
vil den
possible to come in here, but it's very tough. The first shot they looked at was a raise. They could either raise it onto their own and push it up,
Jeg tror også, den er
or it
nemmere, for
might
den
even
kører
go
lige op.
directly in. That has more options on it, that one. And you're playing the straighter turn, so it might be a little bit easier.
God sten at lave. Det vil være svært. Jo, der er flere muligheder, ikke? Ja, du skal bare give... Jo. Ja, så ligger jeg tror, hvis du giver lige på stenen her. Hvad fart vil du spille? En hakfart eller sådan. Eller, ikke? Bare Susanne har tjekket på alle alternativer. Hvad?
Well, they've decided to play this with enough weight to actually move out one of the Canadian stones. The double bump onto the shot that is shot rock.
Lidt hurtigere, den skal helst blive der også, hvis du kommer den vej. Ja. Okay.
Now, Vic, this is one difference. So remember, this is not the third that holds the broom for Lene.
Det er vi enige om,
This is Suzanne Slutsayer leaving Petrie and Kraus to do the brushing.
God fart. Hak.
Det er langt ud. Wow!
She didn't take enough ice for this hack weight shot.
Åh, det var ikke ret godt.
And now it gives Canada a chance.
Altså, det er ikke negativt.
You know, in fact, it's the break, isn't it? Because now you can actually play the hit and roll and you don't have to worry about the draw. Or do you go to the straight turn and lose the hole?
I'm not sure about the hit and roll. That's a tough shot.
The bump is easier.
Okay. Yeah, because see, to sneak by this and get in here, it's not all that curly, so. Do you want to do the bump on the straight turn?
Not really, Kim. No, I don't like the way hers just moved. I think I
Keep
like
your eye
this
on another
turn, don't you
game with a
guys?
4-loss team. That's Germany. Andrea shot from Garmisch against Akiko Kato from Japan at 2-6. From Tokoro, they blanked the first. Final stone for the Japanese skip. Silver medal winner at the World Juniors a couple of weeks ago. Had a hit for 3. Couldn't hold the shooter. Settles for a deuce.
Want to try that?
Whatever you feel like, Colleen.
Vic, it looks like you could play
I really
this
think
hit
the
and
bump
roll.
on
It's
the
just that you're
curly turn
not
is a
sure
real
how
tough-
straight it is to get the roll
even the
into the
bump or the hit
4-foot.
roll.
It's definitely there.
Or, you know, the rub off that, but that's pretty tricky too. I think those are probably your best bets.
They could raise this one up. They are talking about that, and this turn is the straighter turn.
Well, why did hers just walk so much is what I don't understand.
I don't know, maybe she's... Have we thrown anything out here, draw-wise? I don't think we have we? How about going this way? Did you give Nancy some out turns going down there? It may come up a little bit.
Throw anything.
I'm thinking, what about that?
I think I need a little less.
Less? Okay.
The only question with this shot really is where to put the broom. They watched the last attempt by Denmark to play the raise that overcurled, but I really think
Nancy, what was your in-turn draw?
they were a little
doing
bit
there in
inside and
practice?
light on that raise
Much
attempt.
like this out turn. Not curling much. I mean, the in-turn always seems to curl a little more than this out turn. I think that's good ice. That's plenty of ice, actually.
Is it too much?
I think it might be a titch too much.
I'm really, really afraid. Yeah, not bad. Not bad, but she... I know.
Well, I think the hidden wall is so predictable. We know exactly what it's going to do. You know, from the inside.
This should be good ice. I mean,
Well,
I don't think we should be spooked. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, we got to get going though. Whatever you like. I hit and roll or this. What do you think?
This.
Okay.
So what's she playing, Linda?
Staying with the raise.
It's
Yeah.
4 down the middle, Colleen. Should be about 4 here.
Boy, now if she ever is too heavy and hits the one, I mean, look, she has 2. You tap that back, you could.
No, it's not really that dangerous a
No?
shot.
Okay.
No.
Good weight.
Line 2.
Whoa! Penny, come up!
Weight's great.
Long way!
Whoa. No,
Weight's
no,
great.
it's not coming anymore.
We're gonna need it actually. It's not enough
Well,
weight.
it's not going to
Yeah.
hit it right. Okay. It's not heavy enough anymore. 2 red?
It is 2 red. Canada will take the lead here in the second. Boy, I
Nothing
think
else was curling there.
Yeah, I don't know what she did
Yeah.
to hers. That was definitely deceiving because you threw yours right up.
It's
and it looked like
spooky
it might
ice.
come and
I
then
don't think the split should have been perfect, Kim. And it
Yeah, no, it's not.
Det er bare underligt af hendes.
Jeff Stoughton and his Canadian Men's Championship team guaranteed first place, and they lost their first this morning in the 8th draw of men's play to Germany and handicap. So they now are at 7-1. Norway, Scotland, and the United States are all at 3 losses. Still alive, however, entering play tonight in the final draw are those 4 teams at 4 losses. While New Zealand will be looking for their first win against Team Canada, as New Zealand and Canada will wind up men's play, and we'll have that draw for you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The final draw of round robin play from here at the Ford Worlds.
Just a 4 is all it is.
So Canada gets 2 and the raise doesn't work for Colleen Jones. And this is the Danish lead. This is Avi Petrie.
The one thing that really fooled Colleen in the second and of that raise, and it was not an easy shot because of the way the ice is so much straighter on that one turn, is just watching Denmark throw. They just tend to throw a little bit different, get a little more curl in the spots that are straighter, and you have to be very careful if you're Canada not to read too much into what happens on your opponent's rocks. Now that one didn't catch it at all. That one went perfectly straight, and I believe that's what the ice will do most of the way through this game on that turn.
What happened to that?
Right in, guys.
Sorry, Nance.
This is an interesting call.
Way out.
It's the same as her other one.
Make sure it's in. Top 12.
Where
Top
is
12.
that going? Swept the other one a little bit.
Hard all the way. Hard, you guys. Hard.
I think it just picked something.
Hurry, hurry.
It just picked something right up there.
Okay, Nancy.
What happened there?
That's the straight spot. There'll be little places where you'll move out a tiny bit and it'll curl more, and it's back to the old days where we used to talk about the brine pipes under the ice, and you could actually read every pipe and what it would do as you walked across the ice. And as a skip, you tried to map it in your mind. Oh, okay, in this little spot, it'll run straighter. You come off the pipe, it'll curl. It's almost like that here, where you can see the little spots.
So that spot, if we want to map it now, might be down the edge of the 4 foot going this way.
Yeah, edge of the 4, maybe just a tiny bit inside it.
Hold kæft, det var langsomt.
Det er okay.
Okay.
Og godt nok langsomt.
Are we still shot, I wonder?
What do you guys want to do?
What if we sit on...
Are we shot? We're shot.
What if we freeze?
There?
Yeah. I like that. Because then if they hit, you know, then we hit. Da 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 da.
Colleen Jones putting the brush down for her second Marianne Way. Are you surprised she went to this turn for the shot?
Well, it'd be hard to do an angle freeze with the other turn, but
Come right in.
it's also hard to walk far
Easy,
enough
though.
outside
wanna give her a
the
double.
sheet of
No.
ice to get to that spot with this turn.
Kind of like that. Oh,
Okay.
deeper. That's good.
En til.
Er det 10?
So Canada 1 on the button. The Danish second is Suzanne Slotsager. Denmark has won a single world championship. That was in 1982.
Helena Block, now Helena Block Lagerson, playing for Marianne Kvist. Marianne Jorgensen at that time.
Kom nu, alt hvad I kan. Kom nu. Alt hvad I kan. Kom nu.
Okay.
Var det langsomt?
Those ones are just light.
Hands went back too far.
Oh, is it too
I think
far?
so. But I do like the guard.
Because
I kind of should the guard.
yeah, I like the guard too.
Now, Vic, this is one time when you, if it was me, I would guard, yeah, and that's what Colleen's saying, I would guard with the straighter turn because I don't think you can walk far enough out to play the in turn.
It's just over though. Just over. Just over.
Yeah, go. Hard. Hurry. Hard all the way, hard.
Kelly Delahunt, good
Marianne,
brush.
nice shot.
Terrific to guard shot stone.
Fjerne de der garder der, synes jeg.
Prøv at spille hernede til.
Now, if you want to, you could nose hit that yellow one even with weight. The Yellowstone top 12, it looks hidden. It is not hidden with the amount of curl that is there.
Det ser stort ud af hullet hernede fra mellem de to røde, men det er sgu ikke så stort.
Den er lidt oppe.
Nej, god fart.
Ja. Hvor? Mere end en klasse. Nej, det er god fart. Kom nu. God fart. Kom nu. Ej, det går lige for klart.
Not even close.
Okay.
They're not even close.
No. More weight or more ice. It's just it's so hard to make that mental transition from one turn. You're taking 2 inches of ice. Now you're looking at 6 feet for draw, maybe 4 feet for hack weight.
There you go. Good.
Kim Kelly. Another guard.
No, no. No,
I'd
no.
like to move it over a little bit. It's still guard.
Yep.
Yep.
Hard.
Hurry. Okay, whoa. Don't want to line it up too much.
Through the first 2.5 ends so far, though, execution hasn't been a problem for the Canadians.
Yeah, those are good shots.
Nice, Kim. Where are you?
It takes forever to come off that center line.
Jo, det ser virkelig vildt ud.
Japan and Germany as they play the third 2-0 to Japanese. Akiko Kako from Tokoro opening with the deuce. This the final stone for the Germans, and Andrea Schopp, the 1988 world champion, trying to keep herself alive. She's lying 1 at back 12. And this is a draw for the second point to tie it. And she'll get it there easily to tie 2-2. Germany at 4 losses. One of those teams, including Switzerland, hoping that Canada can beat the Danes, bring them back, and the Germans or Swiss, if they win, will then force tiebreakers.
Bumping. No, maybe freezing. Oh, bumping. That's okay.
Det er ikke spil på hende. Du må kunne lægge ned på den der. Ja, du må kunne lægge ned den vej. Vi kan ikke rigtig bruge den, fordi den ligger lige i vejen. Du prøver at komme herned. Ja, det tror jeg også godt, du kan. Ja, men vi skal jo af med den røde, der ligger inde bagved på en eller anden måde. Jeg tror,
This email brought to you by Labatt from Winnipeg, Manitoba. When was the last time the Canadian women's team failed to make the playoffs at a World Championship?
Well, it was Colleen Jones in 1982 in her other world appearance. And I mentioned earlier in the week that is one memory that would be very difficult for Colleen. It was not a pleasant time. It was at a time when the ice conditions were quite poor. They were in Geneva playing, and in the early 80s for the World Championships, the ice was difficult. Colleen, I think, had 6 wins and then lost her remaining games to fall into a tiebreaker, which I believe she lost.
Yeah, 6-5 was her record that year.
Playing the double tap. Very nice.
Okay.
And so that Canadian stone now is surrounded.
Scary, those yellow guys. But if we guard that, what does she have?
Bump, bump.
Bump, bump. What if we guard half and half?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have much choice, because
No.
even we can't, if we come here, I think she might get a play on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
That, of course, was the year that
Can I throw
Marianne
for a guard, 5?
Jorgensen and Denmark won. Canada actually,
Can I throw a 5?
and Jones finished with a record of 6-3 that year, 1 game behind Denmark, in a tie with Scotland, Norway, and Sweden.
I mean, ideally, if we tuck the piece, just to block her raise, she's got the raise.
But then lost tiebreakers to Scotland and Norway.
I know. Or either tuck a piece or overcurl just a titch, you know, to kind of guard both.
Well, I think she's always going to have that out, that intern bump, bump.
Yeah. I mean, that's ideal, right where Kim's broom is. I mean, you might as well try to come in there a bit, because
we can't
I don't
show,
think it can hurt you.
Yeah. Well.
Sweden and Switzerland are in the third end, with the Swiss leading 1-0. And this is the final stone for Elisabeth Gustafsson, currently in first place at 7-1, the reigning world champion. Looking for the angle double, and she'll drive it by that shot stone sitting on the lid. So the Swiss will steal 1. They're up 2-0, trying to keep themselves alive.
Tæt på en hakfar. Jeg er nødt til at spille den der lige nu. Ja, den gule. Ja. Lidt herovre. Hvor du skal feje fra starten, fordi den skal nok komme.
Just having a look at the angle, trying to play this stone back onto the one that they have to remove the Canadian stone. And the tricky part of this is anticipating the brushing because, as we know, it will curl. But in this case, the Canadian guard prevents her from playing the other turn.
Lena Bidstrup. And angles it by. Nothing seems to be easy with that turn.
It just needs more weight. You have to throw a bit through the curl, and it looks scary. You've got all that ice, and I don't blame them for feeling like they only want to play it quietly, but it curls no matter what you do. It's going to catch it.
It's hard to imagine when you think of some of the weight that I'm thinking of the men can play in particular. When you think of Madda and Martin and people of that skill, would, even with their weight, could they not throw it through the curl?
You can make it not curl as much, but Jeff Stoughton got caught on one today where he was playing the same side of the ice, the same swing through normal hit, and it still overcurled the ice he gave himself. So it is tricky.
Geez, it almost looks like she can make that on the out turn.
It does look like that, but what does it look down from up there, though? Things always look wider from down there.
No, I'm going to go take another look. Okay.
What's she looking here with the out turn?
This hole looks huge.
She's concerned about a potential port there, but I don't really see it.
Not a hole?
No.
So if this rock were there?
Well, I mean, it's a little tiny hole. I don't even know if a rock would fit through it.
Come and see if you think it's a hole. Come and see if you think it's a hole.
It is a hole, just a rock. Tough hole.
I think this is an easier shot for her.
I do
too. This in-turn bump. Yeah.
That one is always going to be there because of the amount of curl. They're saying, is this a port? Now, the problem is it would have to be played with a straighter turn, which makes the port that much more difficult.
What? It's really close, Marianne, but I think that in-turn bump is very makeable.
I'm not saying it's not exact, entirely there, but this is an easier shot.
Canada's line one covered, but second and third shots belong to Denmark.
So they're protecting against the raise back, which, in my opinion, is the easier shot.
Whoa, where are we? Long guard, long guard. Okay, whoa then. We're still on the front. Whoa, whoa. Yep, see if you get a little rub. Yep.
Oh, Marianne.
And if there was a hole there, they may have closed it a little more. I doubt there's anything there now.
I think you can still get to the yellow one, though.
Skal der bare knoppes, ikke? Fordi den kan risikere at ryge herned og derover.
Pace a bit so that we're not worried about time in the last bit. I mean, we'll definitely be under the 40 minutes after 5.
Remember earlier in the week, they got caught in a time situation, the Canadians, so they do tend to pay more attention to the clock.
Ja, samme fart, ikke? Jo. Håber vi på, at vi fejrer hele vejen, så må vi fejre lidt fra start, så må jeg skulle bruge.
For a possible 3.
Playing the big swing still.
Petrie, Kraus, well by, right angle, no, across the face. They'll kill the one at the tee line, and it's a steal of one for Canada.
One red.
So Colleen Jones and the Canadians now up 3-1. Their execution hasn't let them down in this, their final round robin game.
So hard to call that line. I would call
Finland and Norway with Anna Erikainen in the early lead on Doherty Nordby. Switzerland at 4 losses. We showed you the steal against Elizabeth Gustafsson. Now Sweden, of course, trying to remain at 1 loss. They don't want to fall back. If they do, it could come down to drawing lots. The U.S. with 4 to tie Scotland. Debbie Knox trying to win her first. And Germany with 2 has come back to tie Japan 2-2. Germany trying to stay at 4 losses. First stone from the Canadian lead, Nancy Delahunt, center line, and it's just biting. Aviaya Petrie. She takes Danish giftware, whatever it might be, crystal, flatware, silverware, and takes it and presents it in different shows around Europe. So she's the coordinator of Danish giftware sales.
They have beautiful things too.
Må ikke komme ind. Godt spillet. Der er ikke meget corner i den, vel?
with no ice.
Yeah.
That's probably even flawed.
And as we see this Canadian team for the last time, we want to say thank you to all of them for their kindness throughout the curling season, their cooperation.
You got room.
And although it's difficult to think of it now, they are Team Canada, the reigning Canadian champions, and they will be returning to the 2000 Scott Tournament of Hearts in Prince George to try and defend their title.
Good.
As well, they'll be at the JVC TSN Women's Skins game.
The Olympic trials for the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City. So there are a number of bonuses with this year, and it's difficult now for them because they had expectations about making the playoffs, but there's a lot to look forward to for this team.
The women's skins game to be played again in Thunder Bay. The Olympic trials, not decided a site yet. We were in Brandon, Manitoba, you'll remember, prior to, in the fall of '97, I guess it was, prior to '98. And I think the people of Brandon have applied again. They want to become the host city for that event on a 4-year basis, but I'm not sure if that's been resolved. I haven't heard of anything.
No, I think there's a number of places that would love to host that.
Just controlling.
Okay. Yeah, look the other way a little. Hard, hard. Hard, 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 hard. Way over, way over. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Good.
Nice little hit and roll. Team Canada sitting 2.
Burde næsten spille den der.
Kan vi styre det?
Nej. Den anden. Jeg tror det godt, jo. Prøver.
Skal jeg stadigvæk være nede?
Stille og roligt. Passion.
Suzanne Slutsayer. She goes to the Social University in Copenhagen.
Kom nu! Kom nu! Wow. Ej, bare videre. Okay.
That's a good call, played with very quiet weight, even though they didn't go by the front one and make contact with the Canadian stone. They rolled the shooter and the guard into the house.
In this spot.
They're expecting this one to go dead straight. The broom is in the very center of the rock.
Yep. Hard. Hurry. Hurry, quick. Hard all the way. Hard. Hard, 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 hard. Nice throw, Marianne.
Denmark with the hammer here in 4, trailing 3-1. Canada leading. And looking to play spoiler.
Ja, det ved jeg ikke. Spillede den jo kun. Spørgsmålet er, om vi skal lidt. Den her højde.
With regards to those Olympic trials, our statistician Soupy Campbell points out that 3 cities apparently are in the running presently: Brandon, Red Deer, and Regina. Cities that we know well and have a tremendous appreciation for curling and would be wonderful sites, whatever city is chosen.
Den er lidt hurtigere end før. Ja. Det er bare irriterende, fordi når I fejrer, så trækker den vej igen. Hvad skal vi så gøre? Hvad?
Well, it's definite that the Canadian stone is shot rock. Now, the other 3 are pretty close.
And across, and actually catches the back, pushes it up and out, and rolls the shooter behind cover. Canada is lying 3.
That's a very nice shot. There's no question now that it's the 3 Canadian stones.
Det er lige før, vi må tage den herudefra. Hvad siger du? Vi må tage den derovre fra. Om det er det samme, vi spiller, ikke?
It's funny. You sense there's a bit of relief for this Canadian side?
What I sense is they very badly want to win this game. They do not want to fall to a worse record than this. They have a lot of pride in their great players, and they want this one badly.
Malena works for a transport company, DFDS.
Ja, nu kommer den for meget.
It's a major shipping firm. They ship between Scandinavia and England and the continent, and she works on their computer help desk.
We'll do whatever the rock wants. Regular. Little full. Yep.
Hurry.
It's curling.
Hard. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. I don't want to leave it double. Way over, Nancy. Hard all the way. Hard. Hard.
To lie 4. Well done. Boy, you can't point at anything right now. The Canadians are making everything. It's interesting how the computer age has led that whole new group of professions, of which computer information. We have a wonderful group of people at TSN that work in our computer systems, and whenever there's the help desk and you're calling, it's frozen.
You freeze up your computer regularly, do you, Vic?
Yeah. Quite often, matter of fact.
Yeah, it does happen.
And they're always there. Vic, what have you done now?
Just ignoring the Canadian rocks, trying to draw around the 1 stone belonging to Denmark, front of the house.
Great line. If she's got the weight, drag it a little bit more, and it'll get there for second shot.
I think if we pound that, yeah.
And this way, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Nose? Be just about right, and that should go through the hole, and that should go that way.
Well, even if you go boing, doing, and that stays there, we're going to be sitting
That's
1 and
okay
2.
Too. Okay.
Colleen is absolutely right.
I wouldn't think so.
If you hit the first yellow stone directly on the nose of this stone, this one will go. Now this particular yellow stone will stay right here, but the 2 Canadian stones would be 1, 2.
There are some jam possibilities here, but this is all we've got.
Looks not bad though on the nose. It looks like everything will go through holes, doesn't it?
Yeah, reasonably.
It's possible to remove them, but Colleen's right that we don't really have to. If it lines up a little bit differently, we don't really have to.
As she says, doing boing. The host of the CBC Morning News.
Heel. Yep. Whoa! Whoa!
Backing up. Okay, that's good. That's good.
And the jam will leave Canada lying 2.
Skal vi næsten rejse den derover, ikke?
Good shot. That's the pro side for sure, because you didn't want to be smacking on that side.
They're just going to play the draw. They could tap the yellow one up, but this will come around. Get it right into
Jeg tror,
here.
den er 24. Ja, jeg tror det.
You know, it's really too bad we're coming to the end of our season.
Leaving those circles up a little longer today.
Very good circles. Lenny works for a company called Nycomed, where she's a purchasing agent. Petrie, Kraus. Enough to push it up for second shot, maybe. No.
She just threw that draw weight. It was even a little light for that.
We're still 1 and 2, and that's the angle to go that way. So what if we just went like... Make her hit? No, then she just hit.
No, we could go right there, though.
Yeah. Even if you half tuck it, eh?
Yeah.
Because then, then she can't play this turn at it, and then God help you with the other one.
Well, we could go there, too. Do you guys like here? Or here?
It would be a little tempting just to put this one in the front
Nancy tells us
and leave them
No,
one
I know
of
we're
these
okay, though, I think.
difficult shots like a double tap to the
You know,
forefoot.
Actually, we could go right on top of that one. No, but then, or even right here,
Okay.
you know? So then she's got to draw.
Okay.
But they're going to play in front of Shotstone and
What do you guys
make
like?
them draw.
It does matter, Nance. I don't want to leave
But
her
I'm not, you know, if you go over there, then you're risking tapping them in. You go this way to 6-3, she's shooting against 3. So I'm kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, whatever you like.
The only thing about this
I don't
ice
mean
pick
it,
is
but
it's
less.
not easy to hit and stay in certain spots. Yeah, that's.
I'm afraid of a big, well, can she throw big weight? I don't know. So a guard here?
Kim just tapped the spot that I illustrated, which wasn't a perfect guard, but guarded maybe the inside corner of the red and protected against the draw. But they're going to protect right in front of their red stone.
Line's fine. Lots of room, you guys. Lots of room.
Line. Great line. Full 8
Whoa.
if you can. Just full 8.
Gotta go.
Okay.
Delahunt and Way. Can they get it to the 8?
Okay.
Well, they'll just bite top 12, but it'll force the Danes into a draw. And now how do you get there?
It's okay. I mean, it's just... No, we're all
Get
thinking.
in.
That's all. Yeah.
Kan de ikke gå ned og slå på siden af den forreste og så rulle ind? Eller ligger den for langt ude til det?
She's actually looking, I believe, to see if she can touch this one onto this one and spill this one up and actually roll the shooter in as well.
Kun ind til det røde.
Rather than just drawing through the hole for her single.
Now she's not, the way she's putting the broom, that's maybe I'm misunderstanding what she's thinking about.
Det er et spørgsmål, om hun kan få den ind, den ene, og så dem her. Bagkantsvaren.
That's what I thought she meant from that indication.
Well, she's thinking in Danish.
rammer den her, så kommer den til en lidt garde for, ikke? Der skal ikke være nogen garde med det sidste sted. Nej. Kan det ikke godt have den med helt?
The Danes coming off in a terrible game against Sweden. They lost in draw 8, 12-3 when Elizabeth Gustafsson got a 7 in the fourth.
Jeg tager ikke de mindre isen, det der, for den kommer. Bare den anden, så
I think she is actually still playing this shot.
Vi prøver.
Catching a piece of the first yellow, raising the second one in, and rolling the shooter in and trying to get 2.
Facing a couple of Canadian stones here in the fourth. Final stone for Lene Bidstrup.
So she needs a little bit more than draw weight, maybe a 13-second shot hog to hog.
Petrie and Kraus.
For helvede.
Weight may be down a little bit, says the brushers.
That's just draw weight.
And not enough. And it'll be a steal of 1 for sure. They'll have a look at those 2 around the edge of the 8-foot. Kim Kelly, it might be worth a measure.
I think it's 2 red, but you might want to look at those.
I think you're right, Kim.
And the way she was trying to hit that, she actually needed more like a 12-second shot to move them both.
Sure.
They're going to measure.
Measure those? That's right.
Suzanne Slutsayer calling for the measure. It's 1 certainly for Canada here in the fourth.
Not
the kind of game that the Danes want. They need to win to avoid dropping back into a possible tie-breaking situation. Of course, if the Swiss and the Germans both lose, and then it doesn't matter.
You're right.
Colleen Jones thinks it's 2. Denmark yellow, Canada red.
There have been a couple of surprising measures. Remember, the Canadian men actually got caught on 1 when they thought they were drawing for 2. It just turned out to be 1. So circles are not always perfect.
Oh, without a doubt, as you saw the micrometer do a loop-de-loop. 2 for Canada, steal here in 4 and a 5-1 lead. Let's update you on Japan and Germany again to reiterate that the Germans are sitting at 4 losses and need to stay there. So they need the win against the Japanese and then hope that Denmark loses to Canada and get into a possible tiebreaker. This is in the 5th end. The Germans leading 3-2, but the final stone for the Japanese and Akiko Kato from Tokoro with a record of 2-6 coming into this 9th and final draw of women's play. And nice draw there for a couple to lead 4-3 going to the 5th end break. Switzerland and Sweden. The Swiss also at 4 losses, looking to beat the current leaders. Final stone for Elizabeth Gustafsson. The Swiss tried an angle raise, Linda, and hit it too thinly, and now the hit and stick for Sweden, and so they'll take 1 in 5. Switzerland leading 2-1 as they go to the break. It's actually interesting there, Linda. The 2 Swiss stones were sitting. It looked as if you could hit it right in the middle, and you could maybe push 2 in, and that old squirt through, and maybe even get a 3rd one in there, but the Swedes hit for the single. And here it's 5-1. Canada in control as we begin in 5.
In that last end, the last stone for Lene was just really light. She could hit it fairly hard and still get at least 1 out of it. And as it turns out on that measure, Canada does steal 2. And now Denmark must really scramble back in this game. They're trying not to fall into a tiebreaker position.
Abby Petrie.
Kør bare lige op. Der er lidt ud, ikke? Tak. Nej. Ja, ja. Åh. Ja, det forstår jeg. Så lige lidt derovre.
Very nice weight from Avi.
Wrist control, Marianne.
You can throw whatever you want, hat, control, bumper, it'll all just stay there.
Boy, now that's more like it. Those are the kind of numbers we came to expect from the Canadians after the Scott Tournament of Hearts, and look at that for Lene Bidstrup.
Yep. Whoa. No, not a word.
Board, I guess.
Nice throw, Marianne.
Very nice. Girl.
Hvad synes I? Hvad siger du?
It's interesting when we think about the playoffs and who might be in the playoffs for the women. In my opinion, if this ice stays a little bit tricky, and we're saying that it's probably going to stay this way because the ice makers are working very hard to make it the best it can be. In my opinion, Sweden and Norway in women's play have an advantage. Now, obviously, Sweden came in as one of the favorites, 3-time world champions, and they played on a lot of different arena surfaces. But, of course, the other very experienced player is Dorte Nordby, who hasn't been as successful of late, but plays a very interesting style of game, and it sort of rises to challenges, and I think maybe this ice would be one of the challenges she would enjoy. Whereas Patty Lank and the U.S. team have to be careful because they play a very aggressive style of game, and in some ways, they might get caught a couple of times where the ice is tricky.
You can throw a titch more.
Regular.
Not a word. Not a word. Not a word. Not a word. It's falling back.
And they'll lose the shooter.
And of course, I'm not discussing the other playoff teams because we're really not sure how that's all going to fall out. So we're just talking about the 3 that so far have clinched a spot somewhere in the playoffs.
Jeg vil helst herop, men det kan ikke rigtig lade sig gøre. Skal vi helt herud?
You're right. To come in there, you're almost on sheet A.
That's, yeah.
And they're sort of chuckling, but
Øjeblik.
it will really bury if that's what you want to do.
And it will not get there with the other turn?
It actually will, Vic. If you throw it very carefully with a clean release, as it crosses the hog line, it will slowly move over. You have to have exactly the perfect release and exactly the perfect weight. You can't have any margin for error.
Okay, so which is the easier here? This almost looks silly to do this, go out this way.
It'll work, but you have to believe it. As soon as you're inside, it's going to be on the guard.
Den har rigelig fart. Den er god nok, Lene. Ja. Kom nu! Ej, hvad sker der? Ej, den snorker vi væk, hvor er det dårligt.
They just let that one die. It had the line.
Yeah, so the idea there is you have to brush it all the way through. So when it's out towards the edge of the other sheet, you got to brush it all the way.
Yeah, especially when it's that far out and you're catching a little bit of frost. You have to really stay on it early.
Okay.
Yep. Hard. Good. I thought it was too risky to try to play both. I thought that would drive back over there.
Prøv igen. Ja. Skal lidt op, ja, for den dør også til sidst. Da den kommer ud i sneen, kommer ud i snedriverne. En bil, den her.
Marlene Kraus here in the 5th. 5-1 Canada. Denmark with the hammer. Again, trying to go way outside.
Den er så tung, den er. Ja, den er tung.
Need the Aussies here because those are boomerangs they're throwing. And they do come back.
They do come back. Back to the middle. Back towards sheet C.
Whoa. Yep. No. Whoa.
I think it'll
Whoa. Good, good.
that way. That is.
Well, forget March 21st. Forget the changing of the clock. Spring arrives today. It's the start of the Masters from Augusta. They've made changes to the course. They're trying to punish the big hitters, moving tee boxes back, trying to bring some trees into play on certain holes. You'll learn about the changes in our preview show at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then coverage of the first round, both today and tomorrow's second round. The Masters is here on TSN.
Did you watch a little bit of the par 3 tournament they had?
No, I didn't see that.
Some very interesting shots. Lots of holes and ones they were showing.
Par 3 winner, though, never wins.
Sorry. Kan vi ikke? Vi kan ikke gå den vej rundt.
Go middle of the rock and roll over towards ours.
It's been pointed out to us, and I noticed as we looked across the sheet, some of the teams are making some lineup changes on this last draw. The Americans are taking out Tracy Sachin, who usually plays the lead position and is replaced today by their alternate player, Barb Perella. Same with the Finns. They've brought in their 5th player, Minna Malainen, as their
Control.
Just clean, Walt. Just
Jana Hamalainen has sat down for this one. So they're giving everybody a little bit of a try. I would think, though, that the Americans would go back to their original lineup come playoff time.
Just cleaning.
Whoa.
I'm sure that's true, Vic. Canada sitting 3, and Denmark still looking at ways to generate some offense here.
Eller skal vi rejse den? Ej, skal vi... Er det mig nu? Jeg synes også, vi skal lægge ned på nu. Rundere ned på. Ja. Og helt derned i det der, den trekant der er der.
Just interesting how much curl they're expecting. They want badly to get into this little pocket here. Now it is possible this way. You could play little taps on these rocks here and trying to get into that position just because of how difficult this curl is. In this first tap attempt, you wouldn't be shot rock necessarily, but you would still be sitting in front of that little pocket.
Lena Bidstrup.
Lidt hurtigt ud, synes jeg.
Give Colleen Jones full credit. She's picked up this ice quite early, and her team has been playing very well.
Den er hurtigt op. Der er rigelig fart. Wow!
Very nice, right down on top. So a good read, good throw by Lena Bidstrup.
Hurt my back.
Did you? What do I got here?
Pick.
Jamen, vi er.
Got one in position now. Then needs a mistake from Canada.
Nå, okay, det kan så bedre stå. Wow, hele vejen. Nå. Jamen, vi råber, den er hurtig.
It's very clear what she's talking about. Look at that curl.
I think you got that onto that.
Where?
The red onto the yellow.
Oh, there to there. Oh.
Have we got this?
Oh. Yeah, this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to go really back, okay?
Okay.
They were looking at trying to remove this directly, but decided that it's actually easier to hit this one on the outside and drive it that way.
Your ice is fine, Colleen.
Yep.
And if you look at that ice and know that they want to hit it even a little bit to the right of where the brush is, we're saying this ice actually does, and I hate to use this word, Shorty Jenkins, fall a little bit.
Control.
Yeah.
Final stone for the Canadians and Colleen Jones. Here they go. Marianne Wade, Nancy Delahunt. Kim Kelly's calling the line, looking for the angle raise.
Roll it right in. Roll it right in.
And they'll roll it in. And did they grab shot? I don't think so.
No,
don't think so.
Well, they were either incorrect about the ice coming back, falling, if you will, or Colleen just needed a little more weight for that shot.
Ja. Lave et indlæg, det gør ja, hun laver et indlæg. Nå ja, vi sætter altså op til os. Ja.
Draw to the button for Denmark.
When? Just trying to sweep that rock.
Who's
And this is the straight turn.
This is.
Looking for a couple here in this fifth, trailing 5-1.
Now, the line is perfect, but she needs a good piece of the four.
Out comes Slutsayer to join Kraus and Petrie. Can they drag it there? Little more, little more, little more. No, short, and it'll be just one for Denmark here in 5. So the Canadians in their final game. It's been a better day. Up 5-2. Unfortunately for Canada, it's just one day too late.
The 1999 Ford World Curling Championships from St. John, New Brunswick are brought to you by the Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited. Star Choice, more choices than ever. And Labatt, good things brewing.
So all the games have reached the midway point and beyond. They're into the 7th there. Norway ahead of Finland 5-3. That's Dorte Nordby. Our 5th end continues. Canada with a 5-2 lead on Denmark. Switzerland at 4 losses, trying to stay there. And they are currently up on the reigning world champion Elizabeth Gustafsson as she's in the hack. 2-1, the Swiss leading there and trying to stay in contention. Scotland looking to win their first. Debbie Knox, and she leads one of the leaders, USA 8-4, Patty Lank. And in the 6th, Japan and Germany, with the Japanese leading 4-3. This is the final stone for Germany and Andrea Schopp again at 4-4, needing to win and hope for a Danish loss, as do the Swiss. The 1988 world champion from Garmisch-Partenkirchen draws for 2. That biter at the back. 2. Thank you very much. 5-4, Germany ahead.
The 1999 Ford World Curling Championships from St. John, New Brunswick are brought to you in part by Nova Scotia, Canada's seacoast.
Let's quickly go to the game live between Switzerland and Sweden. 2-1, the Swiss leading as they play here in 6, and it's Sweden lying to the Swiss. And Lucia Ebnotter from Bern has the hammer. Switzerland in that position where they're sitting at 4 losses and wanting to stay there and looking to knock off the reigning world champion, 3-time champion, Elizabeth Gustafsson.
So the decision here was whether to draw and whether to play the double. Now, Vic, this is interesting because this is the middle sheet, and we've told people that everything is dished towards this center sheet. So we're not really sure what's happening on this particular piece of ice. We're expecting it is not dramatic curl as we see as we move out towards the sides. Double takeout.
Started very slowly, the Swiss women, but they've gotten themselves into a position where they are alive for a possible tiebreaker. Catch it, and not enough. So the jam back 8 will result in a steal of 1 for Sweden and a 2-2 tie. The Swiss must win. Also important for Sweden, of course, we shouldn't forget that they don't want to drop back into a potential tie with the US or Norway, because if they do, they've all beaten each other, and as you have pointed out, then to decide first, second, or third, they draw straws.
That's right. There's no skill-based ranking system as we see at the Canadian Championships, where you throw draws to the button and measure the entire team's draws. It's just drawing lots.
And when you remember the playoff system, it's 1 against 4, 2 against 3, sudden death.
In, somewhere in.
Canada with the hammer as we begin play here in the 6th. 2 center line guards out in front. They're Danish stones. Canada's lying 1 back edge of the 8.
Nice weight, Nance.
Linda, the numbers after 5, please. Brought to you by Nokia.
Big numbers down the left-hand side. That's Team Canada, not only leading, of course, stealing points and playing so well. Colleen is putting the broom in the right spot, and the team are throwing the perfect weights. Draws, hits, you name it, they're making it.
Suzanne Slotsayer as we play second stone in the 6th.
Hả? Hvem var der ikke til?
No, I really don't do much sport other than just, do probably not as nice to as
No! Fine.
Well, it's apparent that Kim Kelly, when she swept last end and briefly mentioned she hurt her back, is not playing, because this is the 3rd stone of the end, of course, for lead Nancy Delahunt.
And in fact, Colleen Jones-Kay just came out from the tunnel where there is the medical room back there. So we'll try and get some information for you.
Rules are a little bit different at the world level with substitution. At the nationals, where you bring an alternate player, you are supposed to play the alternate. Here you may play with 3, or you may bring in the alternate. If you do bring in the alternate, they must take the position of the player that has left the game. In Canada, between ends, you may reshuffle your lineup. So we'll see if they just continue to play with 3. Just hope that Kim is okay.
Go fart! Go fart! See? Yeah. Go! See?
Ej, den er hurtig. Den er lidt hurtig.
Ja, ja, ja.
Lane Peters is the 5th player for this Canadian team.
There's a very nice raise. They found a place to put the broom and perfect weight.
I think this is here, you guys. Okay. Just regular, Marianne, though. Whoa!
Although Colleen's numbers are a little low, she is outplaying the Danish skip.
Well, Lene's numbers haven't improved at all from the last time we looked.
She was so close on that draw last end. Just a little bit short.
of the next end. Oh no, Mary.
And too thin.
Oh dear. You guys.
Ah,
Yeah.
kan man det?
Malena Kraus.
Wow! Den er sne! Den kommer ikke engang med over!
Jeg er ikke med. Kom nu, bare bliv med.
Kom nu,
Vi
Pia!
er også helt kølet derude.
Linda, we get word that Kim Kelly has gone for a little massage therapy, trying to relax the muscle in her back.
Se, hvor meget sne.
So right now the decision is by the Canadian team to just play with the 3.
Yes, under World Curling Federation rules, you may rejoin your team if you leave it because of illness or injury later in the game.
Yep. Whoa. Good.
Opens up the center line and gets rid of a stone as well.
Yeah.
Good. Definitely.
Peeled. But it jammed. No.
Ej, kommer den helt derned? Den kommer sgu nok helt ned til Lene 10.
Of course, if the team was really stuck, Team Canada, I guess Marianne Way could have helped out.
Of course, Marianne is a massage therapist.
It's funny how backs are so tricky, though. It didn't look like Kim did very much. She just went to sweep and stretch something, I think.
Det er ikke sådan rigtig godt, hva'?
Marianne Way throwing the last of her stones. Nancy and Marianne throwing 3 each, with Kim Kelly having left the game.
Good, Marianne.
Good shot.
Kom helt herned. Ja, så kan hun bare stå på den der.
And with Kim Kelly having left the game, they are reassigning the vice skip position to Nancy Delahunt, it appears. Marianne Way will sweep.
I don't know that it's bad.
No,
But it's more,
she was just getting in, but she just said, I said, how do you think it'd be? I got it.
Just looking to put a stone in front of those two in the 4-foot area. Protect it.
Prøv at lægge den deroppe lidt foran, ikke? Jo. Selvfølgelig kan hun slå på den, men så kan hun prøve simpelthen at dække det. Ja. Hun vil gerne komme ind i huset. Ja.
First stone for the Danish skip here in the 6th. 5-2 Canada leaning.
Den er hurtig nok. Den kommer helt ned.
Indication that the rock was a little heavy. The last few draws that Lene has played, she's actually been light. So maybe she overcompensated a little bit. It still is the Danish stone at the back of the button now that is shot rock.
Well, we have to bang this one, air on this side, over there. Okay, and the ice is right there, just inside it, yeah. God, that's hard to believe.
What's hard to believe? The ice?
Playing that straight turn, it looks sort of funny. They're trying to hit this one and see if they can catch this one on the way by, get rid of them both. But this is playing this turn, and you can see that it's
just automatically
basically
like
going to go
turn.
dead straight, is what Colleen believes.
Just looking across at one other game, Scotland and the U.S. We told you that the U.S. had made a change and brought in their 5th player for their lead. Well, they've made that change back now after trailing 8-4 midway through. So don't know whether it was injury or just the thought that the U.S. is in a position here that they could end up in first place. Moved it enough. Very nice shot, and Canada is lying to. It's Marianne Way by herself right now.
And it did need sweeping, and a good job by Marianne to hold the line on this, catch the one at the back of the 4-foot and move it far enough at the moment.
Call.
The reason they would have Nancy in the house, and we've mentioned this before, is
that double.
They're very used to working together.
Look at the double over there.
Nancy often provides some input on strategy.
Så rul herover. Ja. Det er næsten så prøv at skubbe den ud, ikke? Og så rulle lidt over til højre mod den anden røde. Ja. Det vil jeg også sige. Jeg ved ikke, jeg tror isen er rigtig. Ja, hvad fart skal du spille? Hardfart også?
Ja, lidt mindre måske.
Det tror jeg også er rigtigt nok, for den falder trods alt lidt.
The Danes have played very slowly. And they might be in some danger here if you equate 7.5 minutes per end. They're under 30 minutes presently.
Looking for the hit and roll.
They'll punch it through the hole, and quiet tap here, Canada for a possible 3.
Holy smokes. Okay, the intern right on the beak.
The big difference in this game really has been Colleen Jones' ability to read the sheet of ice, put the broom in the right spot, and obviously execution is a part of that. But she's played the straighter turn to her advantage several times now, and we'll play it again for the hit.
Right in the beak. Yeah.
So where was this the rest of the week, or is it just today where this fits her style, fits her ability?
They're getting some mistakes as well, which they didn't necessarily get in some of the other games. But I said this is a very determined Team Canada. They want to win this game.
Out of her hand, you can hear Nancy Delahunt now. It's Marianne Way left to try and hold it for a possible 3 here in the 6th. Oh, and she'll kill her one at the back, but it's still 2 for Canada and a 7-2 lead. Colleen Jones.
Oh, I got to do all these things back here.
The key shot is brought to you by Karcher.
And it's Colleen Jones' first rock of that 6th end, and I said how well she was reading the ice. It's tricky, it's straight, and with only one sweeper, you've got to be careful, but this is executed very well. Catches the first one on the corner, drives it back, catches the other shot rock and moves it back, and Canada will get 2.
So the Canadians playing a man short, with Kim Kelly still in receiving treatment for her back, leading 7-2 over Denmark as we go to the 7th end of play. Updating one of the important games, the Germans trying to stay at 4 losses, playing Japan. And Andrea Schopp leading 5-4. This is the final stone in 7 for Japan and Akiko Kato. And look at the red stones. Lying 4. And Schopp is already heading away before it comes to a stop. The rub, the roll in, 5 for Japan. And they take a 9-5 lead, and that is a game that would kill the Germans if they lose it. Switzerland, the other team, sitting at 4 in a must-win situation. And in a 2-2 tie with Elisabeth Gustafsson and the Swedes. Against 2, she hits and sticks for 1, a 3-2 Swiss lead. The Swiss and the Germans must win and then hope for a Danish loss. And right now, Canada is providing that. They're leading Denmark 7-2 as we begin play here in 7.
We didn't see how that end developed between Germany and Japan, but it's very hard to believe that Andrea would leave that many rocks in play. I've kind of been fooled by her. I said last night I expected a couple of times for her to be hitting, and she was drawing.
You said you knew her. Actually, what you said, Linda, was you knew her very well.
Quote, unquote. And then I said, she'll never draw around the guard. Next thing, she drew around the guard.
Yep, just clean. Just clean.
If you're just joining us, the Canadians playing with 3 for the moment as Kim Kelly left after the 5th end break. Canadian third, having
Holy smokes.
pulled a muscle in her back, and she's receiving treatment for that. And we haven't got an official word one way or the other if she'll return. Playing with 3, will it change the way Jones will approach the game, do you think? She's up also by 5.
No, it won't change anything. They've got a very good hold on this game, and they're executing just fine. If I'm Denmark, I don't know if I'm even playing this shot. I'm trying to play the guards, but they have the one corner up on the side that really swings, and be interesting to see if they can ever bring into play the one on this side of the house, although she is playing it tight to the center.
Marianne Way, as Nancy Delahunt and Marianne will throw 3 stones apiece, and the final 2 stones by Colleen Jones.
Nice shot, Marianne.
Hvad vil hun?
The Danish second, Suzanne Slotsager.
Very nice come around. Colleen will just ignore it and peel off the front one.
On the outturn, it would be an impossible shot.
Getting the guard off, Marianne Way.
Nice shot. Good.
I know you say they're more determined, but they just appear to me to be more relaxed as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it would be natural. They know in the spoiler role, which is a tough position to be in, you have to play your hardest. It's the only fair way to approach a round robin, that you play as hard as you can against every opponent. But I would say that they are more relaxed today.
Jeg ved det sgu ikke, altså. Læg den ned på også.
Denmark trying to decide what to do.
Nu må vi jo tage en ting ad gangen.
You need a mistake. You need a mistake from Canada. You could try and put something in front of these rocks and see if you could get a jam. This one back onto the Canadian rock. You Could play this one to the back of the house, leaving it in play in case again you got a jam.
Again, eating an awful lot of time, the Canes. Mind you, considering the score, and be presumptuous here, that may not go that far, but
That's right.
at this point in time, they could be in time trouble.
Throw that one again.
In men's play, the Canadians dropped their first, Jeff Stoughton, this morning to Germany. But they will finish first regardless. They're 2 games clear of everyone with 1 draw to go. It's now the battle for the other positions, and you see all the teams at 4 losses are still alive. Only Sweden and New Zealand have been closed out, and the Canadians and Stoughton will finish up their round robin tonight against New Zealand. But we'll also keep an eye on the other important games on the ice. 7 p.m. Eastern time, the final men's draw to wrap up round robin play here at these Ford Worlds. And we get word now that Kim Kelly will not, the Canadian third, will not return to the game. And it appears too that they will not bring in their 5th player, Lane Peters, only because of the timing of the game. By the time she reads the ice and gets acclimatized, it's just not worth it.
Not much time to warm up, so to bring her out of the stands would make it hard for her as well. We just hope that Kim is feeling better.
Nej, det gør den ikke.
Over there for Canada.
Yeah. Well,
Denmark made the decision to play it fairly open for the rest of this end. They had the 1 point at the right-hand side, and when they played the takeout, they were trying to set up a 2, nothing more. And
as easy
looks like they will have an
what it might look
opportunity if
from
they can
down here.
exchange hits.
Mostly because of the frost over on the other side. God, it just goes backwards. That is mind-boggling.
Norway and Dory Nordby, and she's a winner in her final draw. 9-3 over Finland. So the 2-time world champion will finish round robin with a record of 7-2. Anna Erikainen of Finland finishes at 3-6. Now it's important to keep in mind Sweden, for example, who are the leaders coming in, are 7-1, Elizabeth Gustafsson, but trailing now to Switzerland. If Sweden should fall back into a tie with Norway, then it would be Norway who's awarded first place. Am I understanding that correctly?
We would go to the game, Norway and Sweden, and in that case, Sweden won that game. So they could be determined as first. So it would have to be a 3-way tie between the 2 other teams that we're talking about, Sweden and
Norway and the USA. And US right now trailing Scotland.
Yep.
And the you see on the left is Kim Kelly, who's got her jacket on, and in the middle is their 5th player, Lane Peters, and the team leader on the right is Lindsay Sparks.
One ugly spot.
But no indication at all that they'll go with the 5th player. They'll just play it out with 3.
Roll out back there for her, though. know.
Looking for a corner. Just get something.
Yeah. Okay.
And so now it's a draw for 2 for Denmark here in the 7th. What are they being fooled by?
Now that's a particular spot that appears to fall back. You almost have to take the broom on the other side of the rock to play that straight turn.
Ej, nu spiller vi bare ind på midten, ikke? Bare gis på midten.
She wants the broom in the middle to play the straighter turn, and the first broom position would have been for the swingy turn, which I don't think you want to be playing. And down the straighter turn, we're probably sticking with our 14.5-second ice.
Og nu! Kom dermed. Godt spillet, Lene.
Very nice. A draw for 2.
So through 7, the Canadians continue to lead 7-4 over Denmark. The Danes looking to come back and avoid falling back into a tiebreaker.
Just how absorbent are Scott towels? Check out how they perform against the leading brand of paper towels. Hey, accidents happen. Fortunately, Thirsty Scott towels are over 20% more absorbent than the leading brand, and they're reliably strong, meaning they can soak up practically everything but the, well, you know. Scott towels, always thirsty for more.
Discover a place you'll never forget.
Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia.
You'll be surrounded by the sights and sounds that make us Canada's seacoast. In our music, in hundreds of festivals and events, in our traditions. History lives here, in the echoes of buckled shoes, in the excitement of our past, in our seafaring heritage, and in young hearts. It's all in our 384-page Doers and Dreamers Guide. Call for your free copy today and visit us as soon as you can. We're waiting for you.
Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, Canada's seacoast.
Winnipeg 99, where the Americas come to play.
My day starts here, but who knows when it'll end. That's why I use new Speed Stick Ultimate Deodorant. It's formulated to give you antibacterial protection that kills odor for tough 24-hour protection.
Today, TSN has the story from golf's ultimate showcase at Augusta National. Grand Slam golf in all its glory. The 1999 Masters. See it, live it, TSN.
As we check in on the game between Switzerland and Sweden, and again emphasizing the importance of this game for Switzerland as well as Germany, who are playing Japan. Those two teams are at 4 losses. They need to win their games and then hope for a Denmark loss to the Canadians to force a tiebreaker. Right now it's 3-2. Switzerland leading as they play in the 8th, and the final stone for the reigning world champion and currently in first place with a record of 7-1, Elisabeth Gustafsson of Sweden.
It appears to me that Sweden has approached this game by playing it fairly wide open and making the Swiss come to them. Sweden with the advantage of knowing they are in the playoffs. And that's a fairly open end and a hit for 2.
2 for the Swedes in the 8th, and so they will take the lead. It's 4-3 as Elizabeth Gustafsson, 3-time winner. And as Linda's pointed out, if, for example, Norway's already won, if she should lose it and Norway and Sweden would be tied, Sweden would get first place by virtue of their round robin win. It's as if the U.S. can come back against Scotland and create a 3-way tie for first, everyone at 2 losses, then they would draw lots. Canada down a man with Kim Kelly in the stands and nursing a bad back. Has the hammer here in the 8th and leading 7-4.
Forkat. Den er hurtig, og ikke? Kommer den ikke ned til? Nej, den falder ikke. Falder ikke 5 flade. Okay.
I'm trying to think, Vic, of the last time a skip put a broom down for the swinging turn.
No.
I think we've seen virtually all the stones in the latter part of this game being played with this straight side.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think we have seen anybody put that brush up against the bumper, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Whoa!
To lie 2.
Well, here we go. Just as I said that, she's thinking of drawing around the center line, Rock. So out she goes. Nope, changed her mind.
Well, she could actually go out to the other sheet now because Norway and Finland aren't using it. Suzanne Slotsager.
Yes! Ej, wow. Den er 10 eller mere. Den er 10. Man kan ikke nå kante på den der. Ej, det skal vi jo ikke. Vi skal ikke fjerne os selv, der gør. Nej, men det gør jo, hvis vi skal vande så hurtigt. Hvor hurtigt den var. Det er okay. Turn D1, man.
I think the out turn. I mean, this is like that in turn here that's going to be, yeah.
Peel.
The reference being what?
This is a spot that's not quite as dramatic, so they said they're going to play what is the swingier turn.
Boy, she maybe set it down inside because right out of her hand you could hear Colleen Jones calling on Marianne Way.
Hard! Way over with your roll.
Not going to like this.
No, the jam, and it gets it to spill off, which may have been a bit of a break.
A little bit, yeah.
Forkant. Jeg kan ikke gøre noget, for den falder ikke. Nej. Wow, det skal være en guard.
Just looking for a guard.
Bare ude foran. Har spillet. Okay, Sadie. Heel.
So here are the updated standings. Norway will finish at 7-2. If Sweden loses and falls back, it'll be Sweden who gets the first place regardless. If the U.S. can pick up the win against Scotland, we could have as many as 3 teams tied. The key is Denmark trying to avoid dropping back into a tie with Switzerland and Germany for that 4th playoff spot. Everyone else, including the Canadians and Colleen Jones, have been eliminated. So Denmark knows that they're in at least a tiebreaker, but they can, if they win the game, grab 4th spot.
Der er masser af plads.
Godt feje. Forkant.
Der er masser af plads.
Masser af plads. Masser af plads. Vi skal ikke røre den. Kan vi ikke trække den? Nej.
Regular.
Det er bare sådan lidt.
Regular.
Very nice throw by Marianne Way. Tricky little spot down center line.
Bare nede i fart, ikke? Bare stille og roligt, take out. Oppe!
Så endelig ikke gør noget som helst. Ikke noget.
Negativt, du. Nej, du må ikke. Nej, du skal noget foran, jo.
Marianne Way.
Yep. Whoa.
Canada with the hammer, leading 7-4.
Nice throw, Marianne.
Denmark look like they're playing about takeout weight on this to catch the inside corner. We'll see. She may be playing it a little more quietly. Tough way to steal a point. Canada sitting 2, top 12, side 8.
Stille og roligt!
Den er hurtig.
Nej, den er stille og rolig.
Falder bare.
Når den det?
It's just not going to curl.
Ja, den nåede ikke at falde. Det var faldet, jeg mener.
But enough to push the Canadian stone through.
Yeah, and get over here so that we will eliminate that raise.
Really
and,
half a rock, Colleen, if you can.
Yeah, I think it's just right there, right? On the intern. Got to get to the inside of that and scoot in off of the other yellow.
They want to remove this, but also they would like to try and roll over here and maybe even clip something so they block this raise.
Nance, I think I'm going to need a little less. Yep! Hard! Hard! Hurry! Hurry! Hurry hard! Hard!
Looking to catch it, maybe get off the back of their own. Oh, they just missed it.
Culling was a little inside. Great sweeping by Marianne, and it's not easy to be the single sweeper out there. Not quite the same as seeing the encouragement of your other player.
Narrowed up too much, eh?
Just a titch. She threw great. But you know, this is going to be...
Det er herude. Vi kan også sende herindefra. Jeg synes bare, at take out, så falder det lidt.
Hvad siger I til den her is? Du prøver at rejse den.
Gå ned og rejse den. Jamen, jeg tror, det er rigtigt nok. Måske skal hun have lidt mere.
Måske du skal have en anelse mere.
Ja, det gør jo ikke noget, den går lidt ned mod den, hvis det er. Altså hellere det, end den...
fiser hen forbi. Det vil jeg altså ikke forvente med et spørg også om isen. Han bare sådan set nogenlunde. Vil godt, vi skal have mere? Nej, jeg tror ikke, vi skal have mere. Nej, det ser meget rimeligt. Nej, jeg tror også. Nej, jeg tror, det er rigtigt nok på det. En bagkantsvaren, ikke? Ja.
Well, if you want to make a steal, you have to make this kind of shot. Very tricky raise, playing just a few inches of ice. You need to tap it back full 8 foot. They're waiting for it to curl, and it seems to be just riding that spot.
Okay, Lene.
What am I throwing? 24.
Is it really? Yeah, not far enough.
Well, thinking down center, I mean, I was throwing more than 24 over here, Colleen. Oh, 3.5?
Quickly go to the game between Japan and Germany. Linda, it's the Japanese leading by 3. Germany trying to get themselves back into it, trailing 9-6. The Germans must win, remember, keep their hopes alive. And right now it appears that the Germans are lying 1 certainly, possibly 2 at the back. This is the final stone for Akiko Kato. It is 2, and rubs off it, and did she push it enough? It's a steal of 1 for Germany, and they'll take a look to see if it's 2. Colleen Jones, meanwhile, is drawing for a possible 2 Canada here in the 8th.
Clean it, looks good. Great throw, Colleen.
Back 8 for a pair. The Canadians playing without Kim Kelly. Now are up 9-4. Their execution has been terrific. And the Danes are in danger of falling back. Jones wants to play spoiler. It's the final round-robin draw. And it's a final score. Norway 9-3 over Finland. Dorte Nordby, 2-time world champion, finished 7-2. Canada, as we begin play in 9 with a 9-4 lead over Denmark. It is 4-3 Sweden leading Switzerland as they play in 9. An important game for the Swiss. Scotland and the U.S. The U.S. has come back with a steal of 2 and 8, so they are tied 8-8. Scotland looking to win their first, and it was a steal of 1 for Germany. So the Germans in a must-win are playing 10, down by 2, and without the hammer. So right now, Linda, as it sits, regardless of Denmark being down by 5, and presuming that they lose this, won't change a thing because the 2 teams that need to win aren't Germany and Switzerland.
What am I throwing?
Switzerland's only down 1 point.
Hits. Okay.
Playing 9.
Well, facts, facts, facts.
It's gonna go right by, isn't it?
And they do have a couple of rocks in the house.
Never let me catch you making a mistake. Yeah, no, son, there's a long way to go, and
as soon as we say this is the way it's going to be, it changes. So we're not going to say a word.
No. Abby Petrie.
Skal fejes, piger. Hele vejen. Kom nu, Hart! Kom nu! Kig op, kig op. Godt spillet.
Looking for front rocks. Just a case on those skip rocks for Denmark. They've not had quite the right weight. Lenne's been short and then long. The last raise attempt they couldn't sweep because it didn't curl enough. Just a little bit off on those shots. Team Canada playing very well.
And once again, playing a curler short. Kim Kelly hurting her back in the 5th and never returning.
Now you probably cannot draw behind this guard, so they're going to try and tap it up.
I think this would just wind up going in there, so just try for one. Yeah, not with peel. What? This one? It'll spin out with peel, Colleen. Okay. Yeah. Nice throw. Yep. Hurry. Hard. Hurry, hard.
Oh, I just missed the angle to get them both. Cowbells of some of the Swiss fans. A crowd today of just shy of 4,000, 39-38. Hoping their Swiss ladies team can get themselves into a tiebreaker.
I'm not sure what they were playing there.
Sorta. Okay.
But it goes through and it gives Marianne another chance at the peel.
Hurry. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Corner. Drive it over.
Okay.
Gets rid of the Danish stone and leaves the 4-foot covered.
But a guard in that position belonging to your opponent may not be usable because you can't draw around it very well with a straight turn, and I don't think you can go wide enough with the swingy turn. So Denmark will try to use their own stone, which is on the side where you can get it buried.
Malena Kraus. Nope. How frustrating is that? You know it can be done.
The interesting part will be how frustrating it will be in the playoffs. You've seen it today. Now seen it for a couple of days actually, where this ice has become a little bit slanted towards the middle of the building, something the ice makers really cannot completely control, even though they're working very hard on it. So how well will you adjust now that you've seen it?
And you know, it's interesting because you assume, well, the semifinals are slated for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, that by the end of this evening you turn off the lights, you don't have to maybe do as much to work on the ice, but there's a potential of tiebreaker, so there could be just as much use of the ice before those semifinals.
And it's when the people come in, and with the humidity, the frost buildup, all those sorts of things cause the ice makers problems. So yes, if the building is full in the morning, it will make it much more difficult for the ice makers.
Helt ærligt.
Try this on this turn.
Okay. Enough?
Yeah.
Good check in there, Marianne. Oh my God. That was from the back line, from the...
It's just soaked.
Does it change?
I'll take a titch more.
And anybody's a club.
Whoa.
Anybody's been as a club curler has probably done this, but how does it relate in this situation for both Marianne and for Nancy to throw the extra stone, to do the brushing by yourself?
That's a totally different feel in the game. The nice thing, not nice that Kim had to lose the game, but the nice thing was the game was in pretty good control when it happened, so you've got a bit of a flow and you're all feeling pretty confident about the way you're playing. It's tough to sweep. If Marianne was required to make a very key draw for them by brushing it the whole way, that would be very difficult.
Coming up at 3:30 today, a preview to the Masters, and then first round coverage tomorrow as well. The Masters is here on TSN.
Den er hurtig nok. Nancy! Den er rigtig hurtig. Rigtig hurtig. Yes! Wow! Wow, den er kørt igennem.
And every time they find a spot to draw to, the weight just isn't there.
Okay.
If I'm the Danes, I'm not very confident going into the tiebreaker or playoffs, whatever the situation might be.
Is that all right?
No, I think that's the ice too. It's they're not throwing well. They're struggling with the weight, but I think the ice is bothering them a little bit. And just back to my comments earlier in the game, that's where the experience will come into play. The skips like Doherty Norby, Elizabeth Gustafsson that have seen changing conditions in arenas will probably have the biggest advantage come the playoffs.
Colleen Jones and the final stone
Line's fine, Marianne.
for the Canadian skip here in 9.
Going now, though.
And you can see Nancy Delhunt out as well. And it'll be Colleen Jones who calls the line from here. Now it's the two of them will try to drag it where they can.
Whoa, whoa.
Doesn't need it.
Well played, well read, well thrown by Colleen Jones.
Vi kan altså ikke lide...
And this is likely a game saver for the Danes if you don't make it.
Skal jeg bare ned på den med indlæg?
As Nancy Delhunt even checks out the scoreboard. And
Hallo? Er det indlæg? Er skottet så?
Ja, det må du være. Spar det lidt i, som giver.
a little bit of a wobble from Lene Bidstrup. Final stone. Canada's lying 1.
Wow! Yes! You må godt fire! Yes!
Petrie and Kraus trying to save it. Got it by. They do.
Very nice little.
Very nice. 2 nice draws. 1 for Denmark. 9-5. Canada leads it. Coming home. And that's it. Canada will win their final game 9-5 over Denmark and wind up round robin play at 4-5. The Danes will suffer a big fourth loss and drop to 5-4.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, both Switzerland and Germany are alive for a possible tiebreaker here at these Ford Worlds. The Germans are trailing Japan 9-7 as they play in 10. The Swiss are playing Sweden up 5-4 as Colleen Jones and her Canadian Championship team with Kim Kelly on the sidelines will say goodbye to these Ford Worlds with a record of 4-5 and out of the playoffs. We know that Denmark has lost. Now here's the scenario. Look at the Germans down by 2 to Japan. They're lying 3 without the hammer. Final stone. Akiko Kato for Japan. You say that Chop came too deep with her final stone, and now look what happens. She just nudges the German stone that much. That is the difference between a tie and a loss for Germany. Japan wins it 9-8, and the Germans at shock. The '88 world champion has been eliminated. So the Japanese finish at 3-6. Germany is out, and sitting at 4-5 as Colleen Jones accepts congratulations. A difficult week ends with a 9-5 win over Denmark, and the loss brings Denmark back. But Germany now has been eliminated. Can Switzerland beat Sweden to get into a tiebreaker against the Danes? They're playing the 10th, 5-4, Switzerland leading, and Sweden has the hammer. This is the first skip stone for Switzerland. And this is Lucia Ebnotter from Bern.
Well, just as dramatic as Andrea Schopp coming deep on that rock that Japan then hit out. In this end, Sweden had a rollout. That's the Yellowstone just about touching the divider. Switzerland missed the open hit on the only other rock in the house, and Sweden split the house. That's why Sweden is setting up the 2, which would win the game for them. That was Lucia trying to corner freeze, and it comes too deep.
If Sweden does get their 2 here, Linda, to win the game, they would clinch first place with their record of 8-1. Should they lose it, they'd fall into a tie with Norway. Dorte Nordby already winning, but they would get first place by virtue of a win over Norway in round robin. So lots of little sorting out to do still.
Well, this stone, if they remove it, they'll probably try and roll out, and then Switzerland would have to try again for the corner freeze.
The other game on the ice is Scotland. Debbie Knox from Renfrewshire trying to win her first. 0-8 coming in and leading the U.S. 10-8. But the Americans and Patty Lank from Madison, Wisconsin do have the hammer in 10. Elizabeth Gustafson, this will be her first.
Playing this very quietly. Just need to catch the corner.
And that's all they do, but push it far enough, and Sweden continues now to lie 2. Where do you go, Linda?
Well, they're going to try and freeze one of the stones. I'm assuming, by the way, that Elizabeth played that last hit, playing it so quietly, just really a quiet little nudge. The ice on this sheet is also a little tricky, and she was afraid of upping the weight too much and maybe not catching a piece of that rock. So with this Swedish stone landing there, it looks like Switzerland's trying to play in that area. And hoping for the miss hit. If you're very confident of your double takeout ability, there is a double takeout there, but you would have to try to save the shooter. It would be very dangerous. So they've changed now to corner freezing the stone. That's the one I showed at the beginning. Stone just in front of the tee line. And the final indication is actually playing the in-turn to the back one. So the in-turn to the back one isn't a bad call. It looks like the out-turn is maybe a little bit too tricky.
Still not quite sure, is she?
This is such an important stone. Think of the pressure on this young skip.
Never been here before. Nadia Raspe. Tanya Fry. The front end trying to drag it right down on top. Out comes Nico Strauzak. Put it right to the corner, and it over-curled on them just a little bit.
Perfect weight from Lucia. Just curled too much in the last few feet.
And right behind the sheet, it's Lene Bidstrup. And the Danes waiting to see what happens. A Swiss loss, and there would be no tiebreakers. Swiss win, and the Danes would have to play Switzerland for that 4th and final spot. Final stone. Elizabeth Persson, Louise Marmont, little brush, and there will be no tiebreaker. And the Danes, despite the loss to Canada, celebrate a 4th place finish in round robin play. Elizabeth Gustafsson with 2 will win it 6-5 over Switzerland. And they'll finish atop the standings with a record of 8-1. Switzerland falls to 4-5 and out of the playoffs. Still one more game. Can the Scots win their first? We'll update that when we come back to St. John. Welcome back to Harbor Station, the Ford World's Women's Play final round robin draw. And you can see the ice makers are out there and getting ready One more men's draw to come your way. That's later this evening here on TSN, but one game still to play out, and that involves the United States. We know, though, that Sweden will finish first. Norway is second at 7-2 after their wins. The U.S., if they do win, they'd go to a tie with Norway, but that's the way the standings would read. Norway winning in round robin over the U.S. Denmark will finish fourth, despite the loss to Canada. And Canada finishes one game out at 4-5 and tied with Germany and Switzerland. Japan handing Germany that very crushing loss. Scotland, can they win their first? Well, that's to be determined here in the one game remaining. Tied 10-10 Scotland. The champions from the Green Acres Curling Club in Renfrewshire, skipped by Debbie Knox against the United States, and Patty Lank from the Madison Curling Club, Madison, Wisconsin. This is the U.S. lead, Tracy Sokshin.
So they got the one stone up, and the opponent, in an attempt to play the tick, removed the stone, so it came back. Shooter went off, and now a chance to get a second front rock up.
Judith Stobie throws the lead stones for Scotland. The 30-year-old bank officer with the Royal Bank of Scotland.
And Vic, it never ceases to happen. The most amazing things in the last round of round robin play. You looked across and you saw Japan at 2-6 playing Germany, and you thought the former world champion Andrea Schopp would come through with the win. Japan must have played very well, got a 5-ender in that game. Switzerland looked like they had a great chance to beat Sweden. Might have been a little bit of an upset, but that one wide open miss in 10, and that cost them.
Well, the Swedes scored 5 against Switzerland in the last 3.
And in this game, Debbie Knox from Scotland looking for her first win, and they again must have played very well. It's been the last few wins that the U.S. team have been trying to mount the comeback.
Scotland does have the hammer.
There's an indication of how well this team from Scotland has played. Good numbers for Debbie. Wendy, I apologize.
Wendy Bell. And she'll get 2 of the stones off. Oh, it leaves a corner. It's the U.S. lying one, though, back 8 foot. She's in position to possibly win the U.S. first world championship. The Americans with 2 silvers. Patty Lank, in her second appearance at the World, she was 4-5 in '97 in Bern. Oh, good brush, great throw by Alison Dara as she gets it to bite. Top 8, and the Americans, lots of pressure on the Scots now here in this extra of a 10-10 tie.
With so much of this game about confidence, I think it's pretty important that the U.S. team really work hard in this extra end and head into the playoffs with a win. It'd be unfortunate for them to drop this one. I'm sure they felt coming into today that they would win. And I think early in the game, it appeared that the ice caught them a little bit. You can see that Scotland, after taking 3, stole another point before the U.S. rebounded, and then there were steals later in the game.
Erica Brown. The Brown family, long associated with the sport of curling in the U.S. Her father, Steve, is the coach. It's a team, though, that we've seen, Linda, as you say, likes to mix it up.
And that's what will be interesting if the ice is a little bit tricky. Scotland has made some very nice shots, but Patty Lank will leave rocks in play. And if you're not reading the ice well or not finding your draw weight, you will get burned. Isabel Hannen, who we played against in 1985 in the World Championships when she skipped her team and we played them in the final.
And the score was?
5-2, I think it was.
It was. Dorte Nordby, the Norwegian champion. She will finish second, 2-time world champion. Hannah Woods to her left in the foreground, her longtime third. They will play the Americans in the semifinal.
All the way, guys. All the way. Keep going. Keep going. I want to cross it.
Isabel, who works as a physiotherapist for the National Health Service of Scotland.
They're desperately trying to keep that front open.
And maybe catch something on the way by. No.
The way the rocks are sitting, it's not going to be terribly easy to play a draw in these circumstances if Scotland needs to do that with their last rock. Depending on the amount of swing, we haven't seen this sheet very much.
The native of Bydale, Saskatchewan, now makes her home in Lewiston, New York, western New York area near Buffalo, Niagara Falls. Now a little bit better to run them back and maybe open it up, you think?
Yeah, that one came a little bit tighter than I would have liked anyways.
Oh, they thought that they would be in a tiebreaker after they lost, but then they saw Germany lose, and then they saw Switzerland lose as well, as the Swiss will go home just shy of making the playoffs with a record of 4-5.
Well, the first thing Scotland was looking at is trying to make a play on the Yellowstone that is in the house, at the front of the house. But that's a pretty tough shot.
Wendy Bell will go down and join Isabel Hannon and Debbie Knox. Try to figure out what they might do. Skip Stones here in this extra of a 10-10 tie. Scotland looking to win their first. They already will go home with the dubious honor of being the worst performing women's team at a world championship. The Scots at 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in their 10-minute extra time session. Hammy McMillan, the Scottish men's skip. I think he knows what he'd do. Warwick Smith, Scottish third, coming into focus. Peter Loudon just in front of him. They're in contention in men's play.
Well, the decision has been made, I believe, to try and draw into the house. It would be difficult to clear everything, and knowing that the Americans could then throw another guard, Debbie's trying to get in there first.
Would you like this call, or would you just run the two and try and open things up?
I think my temptation would be to take a run at that front, just because it looks like it's really tough to draw here, but she's going to try and just get by.
Oh, wonderful. Great judgment. Great draw. Will that be the shot that wins Scotland their first? Isabel Hannon took maybe a little bit of a chance. Linda called off the brushing and then brought it back on, and they were able to feather it by.
Very nice shot by Debbie Knox. Interestingly enough, I was watching the ninth end. That's, of course, the last time they played in this direction. Scotland made some lovely tap backs to get two in that particular end, all with this turn. So they are very aware of what it does do here. And Patty Lank has to follow that down. She wouldn't mind sitting a little higher in the forefoot area.
This is the final stone for the Americans here in this extra. Scotland with the hammer. She's got to be shot or the Scots will win their first.
Yep, for line. Very line.
Alison Dara is on the left. Tracy Sockshin is on the right. Needs to sit there. You can't roll off. Now you can't spin off. And it will sit in time for shot stone for the Americans.
But that little roll-off means that it's exposed.
Yeah, by that much, Patty. So now it's up to Debbie Knox from the Green Acres Curling Club in Renfrewshire to make the quiet tap for her first and only win here at these Ford Worlds. Not a brush yet from Wendy Bell or Judith Stobbe. Stay with it. You can hear Isabel Hannon. Will this be their first win? It is! And That's the first time we've seen a smile from a Scottish skip. Debbie Knox and the team celebrate their first win. And it's over the playoff-bound USA. 12-10. Scotland wins it here at the Ford Worlds.
The 1999 Ford World Curling Championships from St. John, New Brunswick are brought to you by the Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited, Karcher Quality Cleaning Equipment, Labatt Good Things Brewing, and JVC Technically Perfect, Perfectly Simple. The 1999 Ford World Curling Championships from St. John, New Brunswick are brought to you in part by Nova Scotia, Canada's seacoast.
So women's play is complete here at these Ford Worlds. 4 teams free and clear and into the playoffs. Now we want to go back to the men's 8th draw this morning, and this was Hammy McMillan and his final stone against Sweden and Per Karlsson. The Scots coming in with a record of 4-3 against the 2-5 Swedes, and needing this 2 to tie. And look at this, Hammy with Warwick Smith calling it the split to get 2 to force the extra end. So let's go now as we look back to Skip Stones. Lyndon Ray with the call this morning.
You play this one fairly long, Ray?
I do, Linda. Halfway is fine. Halfway is fine. I mean, you don't want to set up the double peel again, that's for sure. But if it's too long, then if you go with the, you'll probably go with the tap back with the in-turn as opposed to the out-turn come around. But so they run off the back one, then you have to go with the out-turn come around, and even if you get it buried, then get to the nose of it.
We saw that definitely on sheet B with the swingy turn in the Canada-Germany game.
I'm pretty sure he'd like to entice Per Karlsson to hit the back one, the one in the rings, and leave the center one there so you can make the shot into the 4-foot better. Because right now it's just full in the 8, so
both teams get 10 minutes in this extra end, and Sweden's going to take at least a minute of that time to talk over the possibilities here.
Well, you peel the front one and then have to look at 2. You try the double peel again. If you get that, you can end the game almost. Peeling the front one off. Whoa, look out.
That one was close. That one was like the one we saw earlier. Big swing, big weight.
What's the double peel? Ooh.
But the guard is left up.
He threw that one too, Ian. Amazing how you did that hard, that distance, you just jam it. How many times do we see it? Look at this, right over his head. Yes.
Maybe that was a little higher than the one we saw earlier.
I think maybe save that one.
I saw a little air between the rock and the top of his head.
And he gets a bad break here because he just jams it perfect. Otherwise, it's the bad part is really not the jam so much as is you leave the shooter on the center line. And now it's a great opportunity for Scotland to get it fully behind this guard here.
We continue to see fairly low numbers from the players. Hammy McMillan with a big draw here, trying to steal this extra end against Sweden.
Weight only is the call. Needs it to curl a bit. This is the straighter of the two turns. Needs to break. He needs it to break a little bit to get behind the guard. Just had to curl a little bit more so that he caught the edge of the button.
So they've done all they can do. Hammy McMillan and Warwick Smith of Scotland can only watch as Sweden decides what kind of weight they'll play at the shot that is sitting right on the button.
Now let's remember the shot that Hammy McMillan made with his last rock in 10 when he chipped and rolled the stone on a very tough chip and roll. And he puts him in a position to possibly win this game. Now he wanted that guard to curl the stone to curl a little bit more, just catch the other side of the forefoot a little bit, but that is the straighter of the two turns, and it wouldn't break for him, wouldn't finish, but you now have your opposition having to touch a rock off the button to win. So you go right back to that chip and roll in 10 that puts him in this position.
Pretty good numbers on his draws through 10. Per Carlson needs to just tap back the stone on the button.
That little extra weight, he needs it to break too, just to catch a corner of it.
Needs it to curl.
No, it's not going to.
And it's a steal for Scotland.
And so that's the way it was this morning in the 8th draw of men's play as Scotland stole it 7-6, and now one more draw of men's play comes your way tonight on TSN. So the women have completed play, 4 teams through. Sweden will play Denmark, Norway against the U.S. in the semifinals, and Canada and Colleen Jones fall 1 game short of qualifying. Just a reminder, it's 1 draw of men's play still to come. Canada is guaranteed first place, but we have to sort it out. And we'll do that at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Stay with us on TSN. The Masters is next.